Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. We're here going to be doing a garage review of this thing, the Nightmare, which is a tier 5, well, it's not premium, it's a collector's vehicle because it's in blue, and it's part of the Hybrid Nation, so it's a tier 5 Hybrid Nation tank destroyer. And you may be looking at it and going, well, it's a Stug, and you're quite correct, it is a Stug. It is a Stug 4 in fact, and it was only a matter of time until we got a Stug 4 into the game, because we've had all of the other mission tanks from PC. For example, we've had the T25 HTC, which I have, the T22 tier 10 medium tank, which I don't have, and now we've got the Nightmare. The only thing remaining is the T55, which we actually already have, and that I also have. So yes, we have got all of the mission tanks in from World of Tanks PC, with the Nightmare, aka the Stug 4, being the final one. Now I don't have a Stug 3 to compare it to. Do I even have the Stug 3 researched? I think I do. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so I don't have the Stug 3 to research it, to show it against, but it's pretty much the same sort of tank. I think it's actually slightly better in some regards. But yes, let's start off with HP. 570 HP with 80 frontal hull, 30-30 sides and rear, which let's compare it to the SU-85I, which has got 670 HP without improved assembly, which I'm going to put on now. So yeah, without improved assembly, it's now up to 715, so it doesn't have as much health as the SU-85I. Let's look at the Wolverine. I think that's 570. Yep, 570. Oh, let's actually have a look at the Angry Connor for the final tank here, which has got 600. So it's in the mid to mid-lower, I would say, in terms of HP at tier 5 as a tank destroyer, and you know, 80-30-30 is pretty good for frontal armour. The SU-85I has got 60-30-50, being it based on a Panzer III chassis, which is, it's alright. It's alright at tier 3, but at tier 5 here it's not quite as good. The Angry Connor, yeah, let's not go over that. The Wolverine has got 57-51, 25-19, 25-25, so it's not like it is particularly well armoured. But in terms of actual frontal armour, this thing does have substantial armour. 80 mil, plus it's got this, I think, is extra armour. Yeah, look at that. That's welded onto the front there, which means that that is extra armour bulked over the weak spots of the front of the hull. Of course, there is a massive gleaming weak spot in the lower glacis of this thing, same as there is on the SU-85I. However, if you can hide that lower glacis and you can get this thing hull down, it's pretty difficult to take down due to that being 80 plus whatever's on front, which could be, I don't know, probably not like 50 mil, but it's at least some sort of armour on there. Probably makes the frontal armour more like 100 mil, which is pretty good at tier 5 here. So yeah, armour is nothing too bad at all. 252 meters view range, but we don't really care about that. We want to look at mobility, and it has got a Dark Soul engine. Great, that's the first time I've looked at that. Great, that's great. Oh, and the Batwing suspension. Oh god, and the gun is called something weird as well. I wasn't expecting that. It is, however, pretty nippy. You know, 32 kilometers per hour top speed, average speed, sorry, 48 kilometers per hour top speed, 16.8 power to weight ratio, weighs 20 tons, 45 degrees per second hull traverse. You know, pretty good terrain crossing capability, 350 horsepower engine. Pretty comparable to the SU-85I. It's actually got a better power to weight and better average speed, but with a worse hull traverse, due to it having slightly more engine power than this thing. So yeah, and that's even with an engine accelerator. Without an engine accelerator, I don't know if it would change. It might do actually. Probably more like 300 horsepower engine. So yeah, comparing it to that, it's pretty fast. I mean, the Angry Connor is definitely not quite as good. 12 average speed, 32 in reverse. Yeah, there you go. That's what we're looking at. Worse power to weight, worse engine power, better hull traverse. But even so, this thing is still a pretty mobile little tank destroyer, because it is based off of a Panzer III, which is a medium tank, the same as the Stug. They are quite mobile tank destroyers, even at tier 5. So yeah, you can keep up with most tanks that are trying to circle you, actually, and you can change position pretty quick and lock onto those targets, which is quite nice. You know, chance of fire and impact, 20%. I don't know if that means anything, but there you go. But yeah, now we come on to the gun, which is the Razor Fang gun, and I think it's a 75mm. I say think because oh no, it's a 105. There you go. It even tells me right there it's a 105 gun, and as you can see there, it fires heat as its standard rounds, which is quite interesting. Blah blah blah. We move on to dispersion. Well, aiming time is 4.6 seconds, which is it's all right. Dispersion 0.46. It's pretty inaccurate, but the aim time does make it slightly bearable. Reload time of 10.7 seconds, which is not that great, to be honest. Average pen as well, 104 with heat, which is it's palpable. It's pretty good. And it is, of course, heat, so that doesn't drop off over range. It's got 120 mil of pen with its premium heat, and 53 with HE, which is it's all right. You can probably get through a bunch of tanks, sides at least, with HE at this tier. 280 average damage with regular heat, 250 with premium, and 410 with HE. 7 degrees gun depression, which is alright. It's not particularly great though. You can feel it definitely in some cases of the battle, but it does have 20 degrees of gun elevation. Now you might be wondering, this is strange seeing a 105 at this tier, and it is because they ages ago did a purge on all low tier derp guns such as this. People were outraged that they took away the 105 from the Hetzer, the Stug, a bunch of other tanks. For example, the Sherman derp, people were upset that they took that away, but they have brought it back at least in the Nightmare, which is quite nice. It's very good at slapping 300 damage on someone at tier 5, because that's a lot of health to lose at tier 5. And yeah, it does justify the 10-second reload, 10.7 second reload, and you will see these everywhere recently. Because, they're pretty easy to get your hands on if you get the advanced Cypher pack in the shop. You will advance 30 folio levels straight away, which means you unlock this as soon as you can. And there's the Lycan. So, yeah, it's pretty easy to get your hands on one of these, which means they are everywhere at low tier, which means you might want to steer clear of it for a while. As for ammo, you can carry 36 rounds of 105 heat, and you can mix those up as you wish. Yeah, it's a shame that this doesn't have that much more penetration. It only goes up to 120, which would be your max, which is, you can't get through all tier 5 or tier 6 frontal armors with that, so that's something to note. That this thing is, not maybe the best tank destroyer. It does kind of balance itself out. However, with 36 rounds, you can go ahead and mix them up as much as you want, and you'll still have enough to clear the battle. It'll be fine. I'm sure you'll never run out of ammo. Provisions, you've got standard fuel for 3% to engine power and turret traverse, tinned food for 3% to crew mastery, and you have got protective kit, which is all of those things. As for consumables, you've got your standard repair, first aid, fire. You've got engine power boost, 20% to engine power for 15 seconds. Adrenaline, 20% to load speed, 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules, and the multi-purpose, which is those 3 rolled into one, so you can go ahead, mix and match those as you wish. It has a unique appearance, so you can't attach camo or attachments. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame that you can't add on attachments and stuff, because if I show you, if you can unlock it on any of these tanks, let me show you one that you can. They added a new attachment for Halloween, and you can only attach this to certain tanks, but it is this, little bats flying around your tank, which I've of course put on the Helsing because it is a Halloween tank. It makes sense. But yeah, it's a shame that you can't put that on the Nightmare, because there's a lot of tanks which bats would benefit. For example, the Tankenstein would benefit greatly from having bats flying around it, as would the Nightmare, since, it's got a bat on the side. Spaced armour. And I think this does actually count as spaced armour. So it will stop HE and heat from going through your tank, I believe. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it shows up at least as spaced armour, so there's something else to note. It's basically a Stug with spaced armour, which is nice. So as for equipment, I would say calibrated shells is nice to get it up to 114 average pen. However, gun rammer is very nice. Get that reload down, and that is quite useful. However, I can understand going calibrated shells in this instance. This is personal preference, I would say, between these two. Then improved modules for the extra ammo rack durability, although defense system again would be nice due to the minus 10% chance of engine damage, because like I said, frontal lower glacis is a weak spot, so there's something to note. Yeah, you know, it's important to personal preference again is what I have to say to this. You know, either one is actually good. I might even take Defense System Plus for the first time ever for the extra engine damage reduction. That would be nice, because you know your engine will get damaged if you get shot in the frontal transmission. And then I would say coated optics, because it does quite well as an assault gun. So I would say coated optics. Gun lane drive, definitely get that aim time down. And then it's your choice of enhanced armour or improved assembly. This tank is very much a personal preference tank, because you can have any of these really. There is no optimal way to have this. So yeah, you can either go enhanced armour or you can go improved assembly to get it up to 605 HP. Really, that is personal preference. I can't advise on which one to go for. But I can say engine accelerator is probably better for this tank, because you don't really need the extra hull traverse. I would say extra speed, power to weight, hull traverse, engine power would be more useful to this tank. So I would say go for that. Refined gun, definitely get it down to 0.41 accuracy. And then enhanced tracks, because it is, at the end of the day, a box on tracks. It doesn't have a turret. So enhanced tracks is probably going to be more useful. Stop that suspension from getting blown off and people circling you. Because even if you do have like a 180 degrees per second traverse, that's not going to happen if your tracks are gone. So enhanced tracks is probably more useful, and then your choice of whatever the hell those two things are. So overall, it's a pretty good tier 5 tank destroyer. Will they release it again? I don't know. Maybe, because in the shop currently, right now, just added, is Tankenstein containers. I'm fairly certain, somewhere in here. There you go, Tankenstein / Gravedigger containers. So yeah, you have a chance to get either the Tankenstein or the Gravedigger. So they are bringing back some of the old tanks. I mean, they always like pushing. They always like pushing Helsing and Draculas. They always do, and I don't know why. But they do occasionally pop up Tankenstein and Gravedigger. So, you know, you may see this again, you may not. But if you do see it, it's a pretty good tank at tier 5. You know, if you can, I'd say get it, because, you know, if you want a good tank at this tier, which will do a boatload of damage and is pretty invulnerable in certain situations, then this is definitely the tank for you. But yeah, that is the Nightmare, the tier 5 Hybrid Nation tank destroyer. I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.